records of American UFO history, there is no incident that has inspired as much fascination as the one in Roswell, New Mexico. It began in the summer of 1947. At the dawn of the Cold War, when the U.S. Army Air Forces sent out a shocker of a press release, announcing they did recover a flying ship from a ranch near Roswell. And sometime between mid-June and early July 1947, the rancher called Mac Brazel was found the wreckage on his property in Lincoln County, New Mexico, which was approximately 75 miles north of Roswell. He brought part of the material he found to Sheriff George Wilcox of Roswell, who brought it to the attention of Colonel William Blanchard, commander of the Roswell Army Airfield. The very next day, the RAF released a statement, writing that, "The many rumors regarding the flying disc became a reality yesterday, when the intelligence office of the 509th Bomb Group of the 8th Air Force, Roswell Army Airfield, was fortunate enough to gain possession of a disc, through the cooperation of one of the local ranchers, and the Sheriff's Office of Chavez County." Following the statement, Major Jesse Marcel, an intelligence officer, oversaw the RAF's investigation into the crash and the material found. But after a couple of weeks, the government changed its story about the Roswell UFO. U.S. Army officials stating that the found wreckages were actually from a weather balloon, releasing photographs of Major Marcel posing with pieces of the supposed weather balloon wreckages as proof. For decades, many UFO researchers have been dubious of the government's claim, and in 1994 the U.S. Air Force released a report in which they acknowledged that the weather balloon story was a hoax. In 1994, the new explanation was that the wreckage came from a spy device designed for a project called the Project Mogul, which was designed to float furtively over the USSR. Because Project Mogul was a covert operation, the new report claimed a false explanation of the crash was necessary to prevent giving away details of their spy work. However, Roger Launius, a historian and retired curator for the Division of Space History at the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, says, those two reports close most of the remaining questions about Roswell. Another controversial view in the U.S. Air Force is that the crashed flying vehicle or alien was an unconventional plan to create widespread American terror, carried out by Soviet leader Joseph Stalin. According to their information, this program was designed by Dr. Joseph Mengele, of the Nazi concentration camp. According to the source, teenagers were mutilated by the Soviet Union to resemble alien creatures and then sent on a plane to fly through New Mexico. According to them, Stalin's plan was to get the teenagers out and misunderstand them as visitors from Mars. That is, to mislead the American military. Other elements of the Roswell story, namely that some eyewitnesses claimed that there were alien bodies taken from the site. Glenn Dennis is a central figure in the Roswell story. Dennis says, the Roswell UFO incident could be the biggest hoax of the millennium or the biggest story of the millennium. He was working as a part-time assistant in the Ballard Funeral Home in 1940, while still attending Roswell High School. After graduation, Dennis was excused from wartime military service because of poor hearing, and commenced an apprenticeship as an embalmer at Ballard. He graduated from the San Francisco College of Mortuary Science on December 22, 1946, and was put in charge of Ballard's military contract, which included ambulance and mortuary services for the nearby Roswell Army Airfield. Dennis came to the attention of UFO researchers in 1989, when he called the hotline after an episode of Unsolved Mysteries featured the Roswell UFO incident. He was the first witness to confirm claims of alien bodies at the Roswell base itself. He said that he received a series of phone inquiries from the airbase during an afternoon in July 1947. What is the best way to handle small bodies? How do you best preserve bodies that had been exposed to the elements? Were such questions among those phone inquiries. Dennis said he was unsettled by the curious nature of the phone calls. Not only that, in that evening, he had an encounter with a nurse at the airbase, who appeared to be in a state of panic. The nurse described 3 alien bodies that were being examined at the base by medical experts, and she even drew sketches of the aliens on a prescription. Shortly after that encounter, the nurse left Roswell and agreed to contact him later to say more information. But he had never seen her again. There had been rumors that the woman was killed in a plane crash, but those rumors not accepted by him, and Dennis now says he assumed the nurse was trying to get over her mental trauma and resume a normal life. In 1995, Ray Sentley, a London-based video entrepreneur, has released a video showing the post-mortem examination of an alien creature, allegedly taken by a U.S. military officer. He said, this was a video recorded shortly after the Roswell incident. The footage was broadcast on television networks around the world. Some scientists proved that the video was fake, and in 2006, Santilli acknowledged that the film was largely a remake. But he continued to claim that it was based on some real footage that is now believed to be lost. More than 70 years later, the Roswell incident remains part of the area's identity. The Roswell city has a UFO museum and research center, a flying saucer-inspired McDonald's, alien-themed streetlights, and you will find extraterrestrial family stranded in a broken-down UFO on the side of State Route 285, looking for a jump start. While this UFO mania seems like a craze, there would be an unresolved interesting truth behind it. We hope that, though one day it would be revealed.